Now call to order, Planning and Zoning Board, City of Lake City. The date is 13th of May. Will all please rise for the pledge, remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and with justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we come before you tonight thanking and praising you for this day, how you watched over us and how you allowed us to assemble ourselves together tonight to take care of business of your people. We pray, God, that you give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding and guide us through every procedure, and you be glorified. Thank you for our first responders, our government officials, and we give you praise and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Ms. McCellum. You may be seated. Mr. Angelo, roll call.
Ms. McCollum?
Here.
Ms. Wilson? Ms. Douglas?
Here.
Ms. Johnson? Ms. Adams? Mr. Carlucci?
Here.
And Mr. Leidick.
Present. Quorum being seated, we can continue. Electronically, the meeting minutes of our previous session, 15th of April, 2025, were distributed via the city's email server. I trust everyone in attendance had the opportunity to look at and review those. Unfortunately, I was absent, so I wasn't able to add or detract anything from them. At this time, does anyone who was present at those proceedings have any additions, corrections, or deletions at this time? Hearing and seeing none, do I have a motion for their adoption?
Move to adopt.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. By hand vote for adoption? Aye. Hands down. Passes unanimously. We have minutes. There being no old business before us, we are now going to move to new business for the evening. We have 5 matters that will be considered and voted upon by the Planning and Zoning Board in a quasi-judicial manner. Those 5 items are application CPA 25-02, being a petition submitted by Jacob T. Kremer of Stearns Weaver Miller, acting as agent for Seacoast National Bank, FKA Drummond National Bank, owner, to amend the future land use map by changing the future land use classification from county highway interchange to city commercial on land located upon parcel 02498-3, application Z25-02, being a petition submitted by Jacob T. Kremer of Stearns Weaver Miller, acting as agent for Seacoast National Bank, FKA Drummond National Bank, owner, to amend official zoning atlas of the land development regulations by changing the zoning district from county highway interchange to city commercial on land located upon parcel 02498-3. Item the third, application CPA 25-03, petition submitted by Carol Chadwick PE, acting as agent for TJL Associates LLC, to amend future land use map by changing future land use classification from residential medium, that allowing up to 8 dwelling units per acre, to commercial upon property located at parcel 02703-014. Next, application Z 25-04, being a petition submitted by Carol Chadwick PE as agent for TJL Associates LLC, to amend the official zoning atlas of the land development regulations by changing the zoning district from residential mobile home 3 to commercial intensive upon property located on parcel 02703-014. Final item, application Z 25-03, being a petition submitted by Carol Chadwick, P.E., as agent for Florida First Coast Investment Corporation, Inc., owner, to amend the official zoning atlas of the land development regulations by changing the zoning district from residential single-family 3 to commercial neighborhood on property located upon parcels 12516-0 and 12514-0. It's a lot of items. At this point, I'm going to hush up. I'm going to ask the city attorney to run through the procedures to be used during these quasi-judicial affairs and to inquire upon the members of the board regarding any ex parte communications which may or may not have occurred. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As we all know, the procedure we're going to follow tonight is to make sure that the applicant gets a fair and complete presentation and hearing on their request to the board. all testimony will be provided under oath. Everyone testifying is subject to cross-examination, and all documents and exhibits need to be entered into evidence to be considered. Of course, opinion testimony is limited to experts, and closing arguments is limited to evidence of record. To accomplish this, we're going to hear from each of the parties, then we're going to hear from any party interveners. I don't have a record of anyone filing for that. Then we'll hear from public comment, and then any cross-examination by any of the parties of other parties. Following that, the chairman can extend testimony if he feels it's necessary to ensure fairness and due process. Thereafter, the members of the board may ask questions of any of the people who presented information to the board. After that, we'll move to closing arguments from the parties only. I'll advise the board on the law, and the board can then deliberate and vote on the matters. All persons have the right through the chairman to ask questions of staff or other speakers and seek clarification made by staff or on comments made by staff or other speakers. You can also respond to those comments as well. If you present written materials, as I mentioned earlier, make sure those make it into the record. Florida law requires the decisions in quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearing. Competent substantial evidence is evidence a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. Let's see here, I'm trying to hit the highlights here. At this time, I need to inquire of each of the members of the board individually if they've had any ex parte communications on any of these 5 matters and to disclose them. Mr. Carlucci, have you had any ex parte communications?
No, sir.
Ms. Douglas?
No.
Ms. McCallum?
No.
And Chair Leidick?
Only one other than, as necessary through city to prepare this agenda. I had someone that wanted to clarify what a quasi-judicial proceeding was and how it was going to work.
Good deal, good deal. So I'm going to take well, actually, let's just go on and do it all at once. If you're here to present information or testimony on any of these 5 matters, if you could please stand and raise your right hand and take an oath. You swear the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. Moving forward with resolution for CPA 2502, a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Lake City, Florida, serving as a local planning agency of the City of Lake City, Florida, recommending to the City Council approval of an amendment of 50 or less acres of land to the future land use plan map of the City of Lake City Comprehensive Plan pursuant to an application by Jacob T. Creamer of Stearns Weaver Miller as agent for Seacoast National Bank, formerly known as Drummond National Bank, the property owner of said acreage under the amendment procedures established in sections 163.3161 through 163.3248 Florida statutes as amended, providing for changing the land use classification from county highway interchange to city commercial of the certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. At this time, Mr. Thomas, can you provide the city's introduction and presentation of the application?
Thank you, Mr. Attorney. There we go. Be up shortly. There we go. So as stated, this is CPA 2502, which is a petition to change the future land use on this parcel, parcel 02498-003. As you may remember, it was very recently annexed into the city and now requires land use and zoning changes from county designations to city designations. There we go. It's a request to change the land use on this parcel from county highway interchange to city commercial. It's surrounded on all sides by property with land use designations of either county highway interchange or city commercial already. There's a map showing you the different land use designations surrounding the subject parcel, which is in the middle, highlighted in red, although it's hard to see the color. And staff finds that the petition is in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan and land use regulations, land development regulations, and therefore recommends that the appropriate action would be for the Planning and Zoning Board to recommend approval of petition CPA 2502 to the City Council.
Very nice, Mr. Thomas. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, sir.
Are you
right.
moving your presentation?
And I'd like to read the presentation into the record.
All right, thank you. Ms. Savino, are you presenting on behalf of the applicant?
Yes, good evening. I'm Simone Savino on behalf of the applicant, Racetrack, and I'm here on behalf of Stearns Weaver Miller. We're located at 401 East Jackson Street, Tampa, Florida. We do have a presentation, and I don't know if we had sent, oh, there we go. Okay, up on the screen. I'm here tonight with our applicant team, and I just wanted to introduce everyone because we are present and available to answer questions should there be any. On behalf of Racetrack, we have Michael Mullen, one of their lead engineering project managers, and we have Casey Andrews who's a senior real estate representative. On behalf of Land Use and Legal, yeah, sorry. I'm going to make sure I just advance to the right slide. Apologies. There we go. On behalf of legal, you have myself and Cynthia Spidell, our planner. And then for civil engineering, we have Beth Leaptrot present, and we have Chris Walsh present for Walsh Traffic Engineering. So the property that is the subject of this request is located at 3882 West US Highway 90. And this first application before you is for the comprehensive plan amendment for a small scale to commercial. We've just previously wrapped up an annexation last week where we annexed 2.01 acres into the city, which is part of this site. The first reading was April 21st, and the second reading was May 5th. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Michael Mullen so he can review just a few background of what Racetrack will bring once they are able to develop the site. And I want to make sure. There we go. Apologies. It's the next arrow. You good without this? I'll leave it here.
All right. Michael Mullen, Lead Engineering Project Manager, Racetrack, 200 Galleria Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339. Good evening. So I just wanted to briefly go over what we'll be offering to the community. This is Racetrack's current EFC model. This is what we have currently across our fleet, and this is what we will provide the city. Also, just wanted to kind of show some of the amenities we provide, such as outdoor seating. We have Wi-Fi, upscale coffee offering, fresh options, frozen treats, things of that nature to provide. Also, fueling with convenience. We keep that in mind when we design our sites. Also, just wanted to indicate how, and once we come into a community, we're very involved and love to give back to the community. We typically will employ around 25 to 30 locals for our building. Just a pillar within the community. We wanted to bring that up. Also, just want to show our community outreach. And that's all I had for you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Okay, so on the screen before you is a picture of the project site as it exists today. It's the site of a former bank. And as I mentioned before, we had just completed our annexation, and so now we're back to obtain the city comp plan category and rezoning district. Just as an aside, racetrack use that we're seeking is already allowed on the county side of this property. We're just trying to seek and achieve the city equivalent now that we've annexed in that other half of the property. And the total site area, we annexed in 2.01 acres, but the total site area for this is 3.65 acres. I'm going to turn it over to Cynthia Spidell, our executive planner, so she can go through the remainder of the comp plan request.
Thank you, Simone. Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Spidell. I'm with Stearns Weaver Miller at 401 East Jackson Street, and I have been sworn, East Jackson Street in Tampa, and I have been sworn. I'm an AICP certified planner. I've got over 20 years 20 years experience this month in planning in both the public and the private sector. And if you have any questions about my planning experience, you can ask City Manager John Rosenthal, who used to be my boss in Pasco County. So I was so happy to see him when I came in here last time for the annexation. So as Simone stated, the whole site's 3.65 acres, but 2 of it isn't in the city. So in order to, we just kind of wanted to have one jurisdiction to deal with and not have separate applications going to the county and the city. So basically, this is just sort of a cleanup. We're surrounded by the city, bringing in that 2 acres. And then when we bring in the 2 acres into the city, you need to give it a city comp plan and a city zoning. So it's about a half a mile from the interstate, and it's surrounded by commercial. And this, my map's a little different from the one that Brian just showed you, but I think it just could be the layers on the property appraiser. But the theme is clear, we're surrounded by commercial. So your comprehensive plan policies that support the annexation and the comprehensive plan amendment are all detailed in the comp plan. And basically it says when you annex in, you get to continue to use the county one, but they really want you to get a city flu and a city zoning. And so this just kind of shows you how, it's a small scale, right? It's only 2 acres. So under Florida statutes, we don't have to transmit to the state and get comments. You can just go straight to city council and have it adopted. But it is 2 acres, but the whole racetrack site's going to be 3.65 acres. So, and your comp plan is very similar to the county's comp plan, so it made it real easy for us to find a corresponding future land use designation. So this is just here to show you what we have in the county, what we're selecting for the city, and they're pretty much identical. So there's really no new uses being proposed for this site that would be currently permissible under the county comp plan. And with that, I will leave it because we have 2 items, so the zoning is next. So with that, I will finish my presentation and happy to answer any questions.
Very nice. And you will be moving that package into the official record of these proceedings?
Yes, we would like to have the presentation entered into the record. Thank you.
Very nice. At this time, you may be seated. Before we move forward, Mr. Angela, will you please update the roll call to indicate that we've had a new addition? And would you like to go ahead and inquire of her as to ex parte communications?
Yes, Ms. Wilson. As to item number 1 on the agenda under new matters, have you had any ex parte communications regarding this particular matter?
No.
Okay, and before we get to the next matter, just when you catch your breath, if you can kind of look at the other remaining 4 items on the agenda, review them, and I'll ask the same question about all of the other 4 once we conclude this hearing.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right. Housekeeping all good? All right, moving forward at this time, representative of city staff, if you'll please readdress the rostrum and present your case and evidence on behalf of city and city staff in this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, staff's presentation is complete with the original opening statements. There's nothing to add further for the land use change.
Very nice. Sticking with what you already got. All right, you may be seated. At this point in time, are there any parties intervener that would wish to add to this matter or present testimony or a case? Hearing and seeing none. At this time, are there any individual members of the public that would wish to make comment upon this case as submitted? If so, please make your intention known. Sign of the hand. Very good. At this point in time, are there any groups of 6 or more individuals represented by a single sole individual that would like to make public comment at this time? If so, make your presence known. Sign of the hand. Seeing and hearing none. Would a representative of the applicants please come back to the podium?
Cynthia Spidel.
All right, at this time, does anyone, yourself or the applicant team, wish to respond to presentations made by the city or any other parties, including cross-examination or questioning?
No, we just thank staff for their, the expeditious review, and we agree with their recommendation of approval. So thank you.
Very nice, thank you. You may be seated. There being no parties intervener, there is no cross-examination on their part. City staff, any desire to cross-examine? No, sir. Very nice. Do any members of the Planning and Zoning Board have questions for either the applicant's party or the city's party? At this point, we'll move on to final arguments from the parties present. Final arguments must be related to evidence which has already been presented. No additional evidence can be presented at this time. Representative of applicant, you may go first.
We have nothing further, but we thank you for your review.
Very nice. There being no parties intervener, city staff final arguments?
No final arguments, Mr. Chair.
You're making my job easy up here. All right, city attorney, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The decision of the board should be based on evidence provided by sworn witnesses. In addition, the board may recommend to the city council the adoption of this change to the comp plan if it preserves the internal consistency of the city's comp plan, complies with applicable state laws, and does not otherwise confer special privileges or rights on a person. At this time, the board may discuss the application, testimony, and any findings of fact upon which the board wishes to base a decision and vote on the proposed resolution number CPA 25-02 following an appropriate motion and second to approve this resolution as read by title only.
All right, at this time, is there any discussion from members of the board, between members of the board? Anything y'all got to get off your chests about this? Okay, there being none, at this time, do we have a motion to approve or disapprove resolution number CPA 25-02 as read by title only?
Move to approve CPA 25-02.
Second.
We'll call that Ms. Mary over there. I think she was just a little quicker on it. All right, Mr. Angelo, please call the yeas and the nays.
Ms. McCullum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Kalugi,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig.
Yes. By unanimous vote, CPA 25-02 passes. All right, back to you, Mr. Martin.
All right, thank you. Members of the board, the next matter you have before you is proposed resolution PZ 2502, the title of which reads, "A resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Lake City, Florida, serving also as a local planning agency of the City of Lake City, Florida, relating to the rezoning of less than 10 contiguous acres of land pursuant to an application by Jacob T. Creamer of Stearns Weaver Miller as an agent for Seacoast National Bank, formerly known as Drummond National Bank, the property owner of said acreage, recommending to the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, approval of an application to amend the official zoning atlas of the City of Lake City land development regulations by changing the zoning district from County Commercial Highway Interchange, or CHI, to City Commercial Highway Interchange, also CHI, of certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. Before moving on, if I could inquire of Ms. Wilson as to this matter and the remaining three matters on the Planning and Zoning Board agenda tonight, did you have any ex parte communications that you needed to declare?
No.
All right, thank you. She did not, for the record. Everyone has been sworn. Mr. Chair, the floor is yours.
Very nice. All right, at this point, for a short summary and overview, Mr. Thomas, would you please give us a summary on application Z25-02 and its partnering proposed resolution Z25-02?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Z2502 is a petition. It's the companion petition for the land use action that was just taken. This would be to rezone from a county zoning designation to a city designation. The petition requests the change from county commercial highway interchange to city commercial intensive. Has a very similar list of uses. The parcel surrounded on all sides by property with zoning designation of county commercial highway interchange. As demonstrated by the map, everything around it is basically CHI. And again, staff does find the petition is in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan land development regulations, and therefore the appropriate action would be for the Planning and Zoning Board to recommend approval of petition Z2502 to the City Council. And staff would like to have the presentation read into the record.
Very nice. All right, you may be seated. Don't run far. Applicants? Second verse, same as the first.
Pretty much. Good evening again. Cynthia Spidell, Stearns Weaver Miller. I have been sworn. And if we could switch right back. So I'll keep it short and sweet as soon as the presentation pops back up. So this is the zoning component portion of tonight. And again, it's the same sort of story as with the comp plan. We're required to select a city zoning district. We're surrounded by commercial highway interchange. So we're going to ask for the same at the city level. And this slide here just basically shows you that what we have in the county and what we're asking for the city are pretty much the same. So there's really no major difference or any new uses that are being asked for with this request. And with that, I will hand it back to Simone for the conclusion. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Indeed.
Simone Savino, Stearns Weaver Miller. We just wanted to thank you for your time in reviewing this. All this information is consistent with both of our applications that's before you on the screen. But in terms of the rezoning, we're just seeking the city equivalent for the same category that already exists in the neighboring property, a part of the parcel. And so therefore, we just ask for your recommended approval of the rezoning from the county CHI to city CHI to city council. Thank you, and we're available for questions. We would also like to add this part of the presentation into the record.
Very nice. Mr. Thomas, on behalf of city and staff, do you have anything you wish to add other than your previous introduction?
Mr. Chair, the previous introduction is the entirety of the staff's presentation.
Very nice. At this point, do we have any parties intervener that would like to present a case or evidence in this matter as introduced? Hearing and seeing none, do we have any individual members of the public present that would wish to comment on this presentation? Show of hands. Seeing none, do we have any representatives of groups of 6 or more that would like to speak under one single unified representative on this matter? Show of hands. Hearing and seeing none. Representative of applicant, please retake the rostrum.
We have nothing further, thank you.
No cross-examination. No parties intervener. City, do you wish to cross? Very nice. Questions from the Planning and Zoning Board for either the applicant or representative of city? Hearing and seeing none. Applicant, do you wish to make final arguments?
No, sir, thank you.
City staff, same question.
No, Mr. Chair, but I do want to point out that the staff presentation up on the screen was slightly in error. It's a city commercial intensive. It's actually city commercial highway interchange.
All right, Mr. Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The decision of the board should be based on evidence provided by sworn witnesses. In addition, the board may make its recommendation to the council after taking into consideration those matters listed in section 15.2.2 of the city's land development regulations. At this time, the board may discuss the application, testimony, and any findings of fact upon which it wishes to base a decision, and vote on the proposed resolution Z2502 following an appropriate motion and second to approve said resolution as read by title only.
Very nice. At this time, do we have any discussion amongst members of the Planning and Zoning Board ourselves? All right, hearing and seeing none. Do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove resolution number Z25-02 as read by title?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Mary, Ms. Douglas. At this time, Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Calucci,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig.
Yes. Unanimous approval on resolution number Z25-02. Congratulations all. Back to you, Mr. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members, you have before you proposed resolution CPA 2503, which states a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Lake City, Florida, serving also as the local planning agency of the City of Lake City, Florida, recommending to the City Council of the city approval of an amendment of 50 or less acres of land to the future land use map of the City of Lake City Comprehensive Plan pursuant to an application CPA 2503 under the amendment procedures established in sections 163.3161 through 163.3248 Florida statutes as amended, providing for a change in the land use classification from residential medium, allowing up to 8 dwelling units per acre, to commercial of certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. Mr. Chair, the announced witnesses on this have been sworn, and the floor is, or the chairmanship is turned back over to you. Or the gavel is turned back over to you. I'm sorry.
Very nice. Mr. Thomas, please provide us a introduction and summary of application CPA 25-03, as well as its related proposed resolution number CPA 25-03.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. CPA 25-03 is a petition to change the future land use of the parcel in question. It has current future land use of residential medium, which would allow for up to 8 units per acre. The petition requests change future land use of from residential medium to commercial. It's surrounded on the west and north by property with future land use designations of commercial, and on the east and south by residential medium. However, it's our understanding that those parcels are also going to be coming in requesting a similar change in the near future. The map here shows the existing land use surrounding the property in question, and going to have to work on the colors we choose for the boundaries. It kind of blends right in there, but it's right in the center. It's an odd-shaped parcel right in the center there. So you can see there's commercial to the due north, some residential medium to the northeast, although that's more of a buffer area between the actual residential development. Just opposite the most adjacent parcel to the east, there's residential low density that's undeveloped, and then to the south, residential medium. Again, those are most likely going to come in with an application change as well. So the area over time has generally evolved into a commercial-oriented collector roadway there. And therefore, staff does find that the petition is in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan and land development regulations, and would therefore recommend that the action be for the Planning and Zoning Board to recommend approval of petition CPA 2503 to the City Council. That concludes staff's presentation. We'd like the presentation read into the record, please.
Very nice. All right, at this time, we'll hear a presentation, case, and evidence from a representative of the applicant, that being Ms. Carol Chadwick, P.E., acting as agent for TJL Associates, LLC.
Good afternoon. Yes, the owners are proposing to put in a private gymnasium. It is for elite cheerleading training. They don't have any competitions there. This is strictly for training. It's mostly parents drop off their children and leave and then pick them up when they're done. But the zoning, the current land use does not allow for that activity, and so we're requesting to change the land use to commercial. And it matches the trend in that area of being commercial with the buffer between the actual residential. And I believe the county property is right behind it, so I don't believe that will ever be developed. Plus, it's a big swamp.
All right, is there anything else you'd like to present as case or evidence in this matter?
No, but could I enter my presentation into evidence?
Yes, you
Do I
may.
need to ask that? Okay. I'm still getting used to all the procedures.
All right, thank you. All right, this time, Mr. Thomas, do you have anything else that you would like to present as part of the case or evidentiary package on behalf of the city or the city staff?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. Do we have anyone here that would represent a party intervener that would like to separately present case, evidence, or testimony in this matter? Hearing and seeing none, do we have any individual members of the public that would wish to comment on the presentation, case, or evidence made by either the city or the applicant in this matter? Show of hands. Hearing and seeing none, do we have any representatives of 6 or more individuals represented by a single spokesperson that would like to make public comment on this presentation at this time? Show of hands. Hearing and seeing none, at this point in time, agent of applicant, do you wish to cross-examine the city or the city staff in this matter?
No, thank you.
Very nice. City, same question. Very nice. Questions from the Planning and Zoning Board. I have one for Ms. Carroll. You had mentioned competitions will not be taking place here. This will be strictly for drop-off and for in-house training.
Correct.
Do we know the general age group we're looking at? Are we going to have
I
large
don't remember
amounts
the lower end of the age group. I would guess 5 or 6, up to 18.
So theoretically, there may be large quantities of parents hanging out wanting to watch their little tiny tots.
I asked them that very same thing, and they said in general they don't stay and watch.
Okay, so as far as the engineered drawings that you submitted, that number of parking spots, even with the future wings
Right.
to be added on, should be
Right,
sufficient.
and yeah, we looked at the proposed building, the base, and then we added parking on. If they add on to either end, they'll add additional parking at that time.
All right. You got a lot of grandparents wanting to come watch their little tiny tots on the balance beam.
Well, I will tell you as a parent who had children in gymnastics, I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
All right, any other questions for either the city or the applicant from members of the board? All right, applicant, any final arguments?
No, thank you.
City, same question? Sure. Very nice. Mr. Martin, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board may make its recommendation to the council as to the adoption of this change to the comp plan if it preserves the internal consistency of the city's comprehensive plan, complies with applicable state laws, and does not confer special privileges or rights on any person. This time, the board may discuss the application, testimony, and any findings of fact upon which it wishes to base a decision and vote on the proposed resolution CPA 2503 following an appropriate motion and second to approve this resolution as read by title only.
Very nice. At this point in time, is there any discussion amongst members of the board as it relates to resolution CPA 25-03 as read by title?
I have a question.
What you got?
What is the hours of operations?
I am not positive, but I would guess that it would mostly be after school during the school year because the students there are also students at school. Possibly in the summer they would do something during the day, but seeing the age, they're not going to be there past. I would say, I'm just thinking of the gymnastics, past 8:30. It's usually about the latest they would go, especially with the little ones.
Yeah, usually the little ones are out of there by about 6-ish. Anything else from members of the board? All right, at this time, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove resolution CPA 25-03 as read by title only?
Move to approve CPA 25-03.
Second.
Douglas and Wilson on the second. Mr. Angelo, would you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCullum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Colucci,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig.
Yes. All right, by unanimous vote, we have approval on CPA 25-03. Clay, your turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board members, you have next before you proposed resolution Z 2504, which is the companion rezoning to this future land use plan map amendment. It's a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Lake City, Florida, serving also as the local planning agency of the City of Lake City, Florida, recommending to the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, approval of an amendment to the rezoning or to the zoning map of the City of Lake City land development regulations of less than 10 contiguous acres of land pursuant to an application by the property owner of said acreage providing for rezoning from residential mobile home 3 or RMH3 to to commercial intensive, or CI, of certain lands within the corporate limits of the city of Lake City, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. Mr. Chair, the floor is yours.
Very nice. Mr. Thomas, please provide this board with an introduction and summary of application Z25-04, as well as its proposed resolution, number Z25-04.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As stated, this is the companion rezoning petition that goes with the land use change that was just heard. It's currently zoned residential mobile home 3. The petition is to change the zoning to commercial intensive, which would allow for the intended use, which would be that of a gymnasium. I'll get to the map in a moment. It's surrounded on the north again by zoning of commercial intensive already, so it would blend in with that. The south is also RMH3, but likely going to be a request coming in to change that. And to the west is commercial, general, and industrial light warehousing. So if you look at the map again, you can kind of see that the area actually over time has evolved into more of a commercial district. And so changing from residential mobile home category to a commercial category is not inconsistent with what's going on in the character of the area. And that's the parcel in question there. And so therefore, staff again finds that the petition is in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan and land development regulations, and would therefore suggest the recommended action be for the Planning and Zoning Board to recommend approval of petition Z25-04, there's a typo there, to the City Council.
All right, anything
Staff
else
rests
to
its
add?
case. That's it. And we'd like to add the presentation to the record, public record, please.
Very nice. This time we'll hear case evidence and a presentation from representative of the applicant, Carol Chadwick, P.E., acting as agent for TJL Associates, LLC.
My presentation is basically the same as the one that I previously gave for the comprehensive plan amendment. This will just bring the zoning in line with the use that the property is intended for.
All right. City, anything else to add to your introduction in the form of case or evidentiary material?
No, Mr. Chair.
Are there any parties intervener present that wish to provide their own case, evidence, or testimony in this matter? There being none, are there any individuals of the public that wish to comment or speak on presentations given either by city or applicant in this matter? Show of hands. Hearing and seeing none, are there any groups of 6 or more individuals present operating under a single spokesperson that would like to comment on case or evidence presented by either the city or the applicant in this matter? Show of hands. Hearing and seeing none. This time, does the applicant wish to cross-examine city or members of city staff on any testimony that was given in this matter? Ms. Carroll,
Oh, I'm sorry.
do you wish to cross-examine?
No, thank you.
City, same question? No, sir. All right, questions from the Planning and Zoning Board for either the applicant or the city. At this time, I only have one. This sort of project will come back before us at some point in the future for a site plan review prior to implementation, correct?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The next step would then be to present the actual site plan for the project.
And I have one question for applicant. As far as the site plan, do you foresee there being dramatic changes from what was represented in your site schematics and layout in the agenda packets?
No, I don't.
All right, that's all I had. Any other questions from the board for either the city or the applicant?
No.
All right, there being none. Applicant, final arguments?
No, thank you.
City, final arguments? All right, Mr. Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The decision of the board should be based on evidence provided by sworn witnesses. In addition, the board may make its recommendation to the council after taking into consideration those matters listed in section 15.2.2 of the city's land development regulations. At this time, the board may discuss the application, testimony, and any findings of fact upon which the board wishes to base a decision, and vote on the proposed resolution number Z2504 following an appropriate motion and second to approve this resolution as read by title only.
All right, at this point, do we have any discussion amongst members of the Planning and Zoning Board as it relates to resolution number Z25-04? No. All right, in that case, hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove resolution Z25-04 as read by title?
Move to approve Z-25-04.
Second.
Carlucci, and was that you, Miss Mary?
Yes.
Very nice. Mr. Angelo, will you please call the ayes and the nays?
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Calucci,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidig.
Yes. All right, unanimous approval. Huzzah. Mr. Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board members, the next matter before you is proposed resolution Z-2503, the title of which states a resolution of the Planning and Zoning Board of the City of Lake City, Florida, serving also as the local planning agency of the City of Lake City, Florida, relating to the rezoning of less than 10 contiguous acres of land pursuant to an application by Carol Chadwick, P.E., as agent for Florida First Coast Investment Corp. Incorporated, the property owner of said acreage, recommending to the City Council of the City of Lake City, Florida, approval of an application to amend the official zoning atlas of the City of Lake City Land Development Regulations by changing the zoning district from residential single-family 3 or RSF3 to commercial neighborhood or CN of certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, repealing all resolutions in conflict and providing an effective date. Mr. Chair, the floor is yours.
Very nice, thank you, Mr. Martin. Mr. Thomas, at this point, would you please stand and provide us with an introduction and summary, both of application Z25-03 and its proposed resolution number Z25-03?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As stated, this is a petition to rezone two parcels, actually, in this case, which are currently zoned residential single-family 3. They are requesting a change from RSF3 to commercial neighborhood. The Lake City Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Regulations, there are requirements that commercial neighborhood zoning be located on roads that are designated as either collector or arterial roadways. It's policy IDAT 1.5, paragraph 2 out of the Comprehensive Plan, and section 4.11.1 out of the Land Development Regulations. Southwest Laurel Lane is a low-traffic residential street. It's a no outlet street, and therefore staff does not believe that the commercial neighborhood zoning designation is appropriate for these two parcels, the parcels that are in question. The map displays the zoning that's all around it. The street in question, Southwest Laurel Lane, is it creates a residential peninsula surrounded by commercial development along US Highway 90 to the north and the west, and then Southwest Bea, which is also evolving into more of a commercial zone, commercial district on Southwest Bea. But as it stands right now, Southwest Laurel Lane is exclusively residential. You can see the view looking west, which is towards US 90, towards the two parcels in question, which would be on the left side of that photo. And then the view looking back to the east on Southwest Laurel Lane. There really is currently no commercial development along that. You do have, on the map, you do have a parcel that was zoned CN in 2021 between the two parcels, also owned by the applicant. However, staff believes that was perhaps done in error because, again, the comprehensive plan and the land development regulations required that commercial neighborhood be on a collector road. And clearly it's not. So for those reasons, staff finds that the petition is not in compliance with the city's comprehensive plan or land development regulations, and would therefore recommend that the action by the board be to recommend denial of petition C-2503 to the City Council. I'd like the presentation read into the record, please.
Very nice. At this time, can we have a representative from Florida First Coast Investment Corp., Carol Chadwick acting as agent, approach to give case and evidentiary material towards this application.
I understand that we are not on collector or artillery, whatever that is road. You know what I mean. Now, the parcel in between these two is already commercial neighborhood. I don't know if it was changed in error or not, but I know there's another owner on this street that will be speaking for this. I think that this entire block of homes, well, there's only 3 homes left that are used as residential any longer. Two on the corner and then one further back in, or they may, are yours residential still? They're rentals, but they will not be, I understand they will not be staying as rentals, if at all possible. So we're asking you to go ahead and approve this because, okay, the owner would like to remodel these homes completely. Right now, they're not in a livable condition. Clean up the area, put up security cameras, because if you've been down to Circle K late at night, you know there can be some less than desirable people hanging around. He wants to clean that area up, provide more rental suites for professionals that are in the beauty industry, whether we're talking anestheticians, stylists, massage therapists, just anyone at all, manicurists. I mean, who doesn't love a good pedicure? So that's what he's proposing to use these for. And after speaking with one of the stylists that is renting from him, they have other people waiting for spaces to open up. I mean, this is a very good business. It allows these people to be self-employed, to have their own space. And I've been in some of Mr. Slay's buildings, and they are amazing when he is done. They look great outside. The inside is perfectly finished. And so for that reason, we're asking you to approve this so that he can continue to provide the service for the community. It brings in more business, and it allows more revenue for the city.
All right, anything else you'd like to add to your case as far as evidentiary material?
I would just like to point out that I think that the LDRs are an error in this, because this is supposed to be a commercial neighborhood, which means it's a business that serves the neighborhood. Okay, why shouldn't we be able to serve the neighborhood on a local street? Why does it have to be arterial or Collector Street? Which honestly, Collector Street, I would think would be more commercial general or commercial intensive, just looking at the amount of traffic you would have here. The hours of business for this would be, it would vary depending on which professional sets their time, but 9 o'clock until, I would imagine 7 o'clock at night would be the latest. They're quiet people, they come in, they're in their suite, they do their business, and then they travel home. And it would really clean up the area and bring better security.
All right, anything else you wish to add?
Not at this time. Oh, I would like to add I would like to enter my presentation into evidence, please.
Very nice. All right, Mr. Thomas, you're up again. Is there anything you'd like to present as far as case material or evidentiary material that you did not already cover during your summary and overview?
Mr. Chair, staff doesn't like to be in the position where we recommend denial. We usually try to work with the applicant in advance so that what comes before you is something that we can recommend approval of. In this particular instance, given field visits to the neighborhood and basically staff's opinion that the street in question is still almost wholly and substantially residential in character. The LDRs, whether they need changing or not, are fairly clear, as well as the comprehensive plan. It was in both locations, so that didn't give staff a lot of leeway to look at variance from the requirement that it's be on a collector road or an arterial. It just put us in the position where we don't really see any opportunity for variance or leeway on the interpretation of the comprehensive plan and the land development regulations. We did suggest, one of the discussion items that we had with the applicant was that the area is in transition, and given that the evidence on the street is that it's still almost wholly residential in use, I didn't really actually find any evidence of commercial use yet. One suggestion we had was that when the entirety of the street is in unified ownership or in parties that agree on a use that they would like to change it to, that they come in with an application for the entirety of that block to then convert it to some sort of commercial designation or mixed-use designation of some sort that would allow them to do the types of uses that they're seeking. But until such a time, staff just can't recommend approval based on that potential until that actually is an application in hand.
All right, anything else you'd like to present as evidentiary material in this matter?
Yes, sir.
All right. At this time, do we have any individuals that wish to make their presence known as a party intervener to give their own separate case or evidentiary material in this matter? Hearing and seeing none. At this time, do we have any individual members of the public that would like to make public comment upon the presentations of either the city or the applicant in this matter?
Christopher Sampson, I go by Todd, 495 Southwest Lakeview, Lake City, Florida, 32025. I own 827, 841 Laurel Lane, as well as 916 West Duval and 830 Duval, which all touch this road. Two are on Duval Street, and if you look at the map, the other two, and then the third parcel that's vacant is on Laurel. And I've had many conversations with Robert Angelo about rezoning these lots. It's ongoing. The city screwed me as far as the lots are concerned by giving me an RSF2 when my lots can't even be rebuilt. So the city, in their great bureaucratic nature, has already messed up the zoning. Right across the street, we have RSF3, which allows a house to be on a lot. So I've got a lot, and I've talked to Mr. Angelo about this. I can't do anything on, and we've discussed rezoning it commercial multiple times, I'd say, in the last 60 to 90 days. As far as there being commercial items happening now, I've created a driveway through. I own all the lots. Other than the one vacant house, the one rental on the corner, there's only one homeowner on that whole block, and I believe Mr. Slade's talked to him as well. But I'm definitely in favor of this being commercial neighborhood. I was actually on the board when this group approved that 2021 application, and it got approved at council. Yes, it didn't fit the LDR, but it makes sense for the neighborhood. Commercial neighborhood zoning is meant to be for commercial. If you read the actual application in the LDR, it's specifically for lower volume streets. From my perspective, it does mention arterial roads and collector roads, but if I'm on an arterial and collector road, why wouldn't I just be commercial general? There's no advantage to be in commercial neighborhood. Kind of makes no sense that you wouldn't be commercial neighborhood. As far as the purpose of this particular home, there were delinquents that lived there that actually caught the house on fire and burned it down burned it before Mr. Slade purchased it. And we would be glad to be neighbors with a business rather than a vacant place where people can congregate now. I've got cameras on the back of one of my buildings, and talking about congregation at Circle K, I think if we do anything there, it would help us, because we know if you're in a city and you've got a vacant property, it doesn't help the neighbors at all. And long-term, it will all be commercial. As a matter of fact, I could see us coming to the city at one point and saying, let's vacate that road. We got a ways to go and a couple more parcels to accumulate, but we're working on that as well. So I'm here definitely in support of taking out this bureaucracy here and saying, let's do what makes sense for that street. I've been a property owner since December 2012, so I'm a longtime resident. If you look at the map y'all mailed 1 to 827 Laurel. I purchased that in October, but it wasn't showing up until April for some reason. So that mail didn't get signed for. But again, as all of my property touches Mr. Slay's property, and I am definitely in favor of this change. And we will be back to rezone those other pieces in the future. Thank you.
Very nice. Are there any other members of the public that would individually like to comment on presentations given by the applicant or the city? Would you care to oath him? He was a late arrival.
Yes. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Name and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo, please.
I'm Buddy Slay. I own the property. And you want my address at,
Legal address of record for the.
for the
minutes.
house, 858 Southwest Laurel Lane.
No, your legal.
My address, I'm 500 Harris Lake Drive in the Country Club.
Very nice. You got that, Robert? Yep. All right. Floor is yours.
I would just like to say of the, just a few comments about this and answer any questions that y'all might have. Of the 25 registered letters that we had to send out, that the city gave us the list to send out, there was only 3 homeowners that received that letter. The rest of them were renters from corporations or businesses. That whole area where, if y'all can picture where Bayou runs in 90 there, where the Circle K is, the house we're talking about backs right up to the Circle K. And it's surrounded on all 4 sides by commercial. He's in front of us with a coin laundry. The Circle K is on one side. I have the business on Bayou behind us. And the picture was, what? If the map could be put back up or where it was, it's, the one on the other side is commercial already. We have we have nail techs in there. We have 5 nail techs in there. So this little house that we're talking about is surrounded on all 4 sides by commercial. That's the, so if there's any questions that I can answer. Yes. All 4 sides.
Don't wander too far away from the microphone. We need you on public record.
Let me get here.
The middle button is pointing.
No, just let me talk. The Circle K, our yard, the house that we're trying to turn into commercial, backs up to the Circle K. And that's not a safe place for kids to play. If you leave it residential, and I have to rent it out with a family, they can't put them in the backyard. If you want to see a site, go down there behind Circle K some night and see what's behind Circle K. We've had to come in there in the mornings and wake people up off the porch and sometimes off of our stairs that's looking for a place to spend the night. So I want to see it all zoned commercial so we can control it. And some of my hairdressers are here tonight ready to move into the place. And we can control it better if it's commercial and not residential. It's just not a safe place for a residential to live right there. There's only one homeowner on the whole block from Circle K to McFarland. The whole block, as you see right there from the Circle K to McFarland, you got one homeowner. And I talked with him and he has no problem with this going commercial.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's all I need to say.
All right. Very good. Thank you. Are there any other individuals present this evening that would like to speak on behalf of this petition or the presentations made by applicant or city? Come on down. Were you present earlier to be oathed?
Yes, sir. I was. Thank you.
Name and your legal address of record for Mr. Angelo, please.
Robin Smithy, 3564 Northwest Brown Road, Lake City, Florida, 32055. Thank
Floor's
you.
yours.
Ladies, gentlemen, thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak. My daughter Jeanette works there. When I come up there, I can attest the people at Circle K are scary. I work at the state attorney's office. I'm just a secretary, I'm nobody. But I've been there a long time, and I know the cases we get, those people, they need to be corralled in. And I really believe that Mr. Slay's plan would help the community by letting these hairdressers come in. And I'm getting old. It's hard for me to climb the steps in that one building. So he's got a beautiful plan. He's got a beautiful building. I really think it would benefit the county. And I have been on Laurel Road because I do go that way when I go in sometimes to visit my daughter. And there's hardly any traffic on that road. A lot of times I do go in through Baya, but I just feel like the county, and no offense to you, sir, and I know you do your job and you do it well. I just feel like it would benefit the community to have these houses be made commercial where people are coming and going all the time and people see that. And it will just, I feel, slay some of the meandering that goes on around there. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak.
Very nice, thank you. Are there any other individual members of the public that would like to speak on this petition or the presentations made by applicant or representative of city? Were you present to be oathed earlier?
No,
Very nice. Mr. Martin?
You raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Mary Slay, and my address is 500 Northwest Harris Lake Drive, Lake City.
Very nice. Floor is yours.
I'm Buddy's wife for the last 50-some years, and I just want to say, if you could see some of the buildings that he has taken, what they looked like before, just taking that one at Laura Lane, that was totally burned out. There were renters there prior to that. We didn't own it at that time. That basically burned the house down inside. And if you could have seen it before and what he's done now, it's amazing. All he does is improve the neighborhood. And prior to that, they would have misfits sleeping on the porch, bring their mattresses out there, smoking their weed and in the sheds. We've had to call the police to run them away. So that's not good for kids or residential area. Now that it's getting to be more commercial, it's cleaning up the area. If you could see the before and after of this little house, we want to paint all the houses in a coastal looking exterior, and it's just improved the area. And making it residential, if you have the smaller houses, renting it to residential, it'll be a lower cost, and it won't improve the neighborhood. It really needs to be commercial, where professional women can come in there. And if you look at what he's done now, we have about 80 suites, and the girls love it because they're their own boss. They just pay rent, and they have their own businesses. So it's really provided all these women in this area with businesses of their own that they couldn't afford to otherwise. So I want you to look at that too, and what he's brought to Lake City is, to me, amazing. And I'm not for it all the time because trying to please 80 women is near impossible. But, and he's 81 years old. So that's a huge undertaking for somebody of any age, much less his age. But he does it because he loves it and because he knows he's giving a good service to Lake City. So that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to engage in public comment on this petition? All right, hearing and seeing none, individual public comment is closed. Do we have any individuals representing groups of 6 or more individuals represented by a spokesperson that would like to speak on this matter? Hearing and seeing none, Ms. Carroll, would you please approach? At this time, do you wish to either respond to presentations made by the city or any comments made by the public or cross-examine any of the relevant parties?
I just would like to point out that the current parcel on Laurel Lane that is commercial neighborhood is being used for rental suites. And I know Mr. Thomas said that they went there and didn't see any activity for commercial use, but it is there already.
All right. Anything else? Very nice. Mr. Thomas, would you care to provide or care to cross-examine any of the members of the public that made comment or the proponent?
No, Mr. Chair.
Very nice. No cross-examination. This time, we're going to open this up for questions to either the applicant, public comment participants, or city staff or representatives. Do we have any questions from members of the board? All right, I have just two. Mr. Slade, would you mind coming back down to the podium for a second? I believe I heard both you and Mr. Sampson mention that there would be additional rezoning requests coming in the future, as this is part of a long-term plan to, in essence, redevelop this neighborhood in this portion of the city. Is that correct?
Yes, I don't have any more property over there to rezone. I have five buildings over there. 3 of them are commercial and 2 of them that we're requesting tonight to go commercial. He's across the street and he has all of those over there. But I can see one day the whole block from McFarland, it will be commercial one day. We may not see it, but it'll be commercial one day, the whole thing.
Okay, so this is one puzzle piece in an ongoing project then?
Yes,
Very nice.
yes.
That's all I had.
You don't need to clarify which parcels.
You're all the RSF2s, right?
But is it that shows, is it that one? In the middle. Okay, these 2 lots, this lot, and this lot, we own all of those as well as this lot.
Okay.
So we've already had discussion, this lot here, which should have been RSF3, initially wasn't, and we've talked about, I think the best we've come up with so far was RO, but I think commercial neighborhood makes the most sense because it's already touching it across there. So that's the next one to develop. And then as we go, these will probably be accessed, and Laurel's not as crucial to us because we have 1, 2, 3 cutouts in 90 as well as cross-access agreement with Circle K, as does Mr. Slay. So eventually these will probably be accessed through there. So I could even see them being commercial general or even CI as Circle K is. This lot here, and I've asked Robert to find it, in 2013 or 14, right after I bought this one, they got rezoned CI to put a car lot there, which was a horrible idea, but it did get approved, and I think we haven't found those paperworks yet because, you know, the city had a little issue where they lost a lot of stuff. So, but this did, I was at the meeting for the council when that got rezoned CI.
Lost it is a polite way of saying.
Well, I know, it was hijacked. Anyways, but that might be more clear, so eventually that will all be commercial.
Okay. All right. Mr. Thomas, would you mind approaching? All right, so if this is part of a long-term process, and this is a single puzzle piece in it, the question I would have for you as representative of city, if the biggest sticking point here is the use of the term collector or arterial in this matter, how long of a process would it be to get a simple text amendment through whereby it would read arterial, collector, or neighborhood street in that section of the LDRs that deals with a commercial neighborhood change?
Right. Basically, it would take 3 hearings, one before the Planning and Zoning Board, and then because it would have to be changed by ordinance, 2 before the City Council. And so you're looking in anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on how the agenda lines up. But
Which would not be an insurmountable amount of time for something that's already been demonstrated to be, in the eyes of the proponents, a long-term project that will involve multiple rezonings, hopefully until that entire area is either some flavor of a CN.
in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem like it would be now.
Were the word neighborhood in the LDRs in reference to this petition? Is it your feeling that the Department of Growth Management would have fewer issues with this than were voiced in the staff reports that were circulated as part of the agenda packets to this board?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
If instead of just arterial and collector, if the LDR said arterial, collector, or neighborhood streets, would there have been
Oh, I
fewer
see.
objections from the department in reference to this petition?
In that instance, staff might not have objected at all because it would be allowable by the comprehensive plan as well as the land development regulations. Sometimes you find conflicts between the two, where the comprehensive plan indicates one thing and the LDRs indicates something else. In this case, they were both pretty clear and consistent. There's that, and then also too, again, staff did recognize the potential for the area to evolve into a commercial zone, but it's generally considered not a good planning practice to have incremental commercial encroachment into an existing neighborhood area, which is why I've suggested that if you had a single ownership, unified ownership situation, or if you had multiple owners that were in agreement that came in with some sort of an overall master plan to redo this area, that would make complete sense. But staff in general, general planning practices are not going to recommend the incremental encroachment of commercial into an existing residential neighborhood, even though it is one that's sort of a little peninsula jutting out surrounded by commercial around it.
All right, very nice. Do we have any additional questions from members of the board for either the applicant, members of the public commenting, or city or representatives?
I have a question. In the process, you mentioned something about having to bring in an application. You mentioned something about bringing in an application to make a change.
To change the land development regulations in the comprehensive plan. Yes, ma'am, it would be 2 applications, one to amend the text language of the comprehensive plan and one to make a text amendment to the land development regulations so that they were consistent once they were complete.
So once that's done, then it could be approved, per se.
It would be compliant then with the comprehensive plan and the land development regulations, even in the absence of an overall master plan to change the whole area. If all the text amendment said was that you could then put it on a local street, then it would be compliant with both. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. If we did change the text to neighborhood streets, would that be only applicable to this street, or would that then open us up to have commercial encroachment in other neighborhoods with this situation?
If the text amendment was done as proposed, it would apply to all areas of the city, yes.
Thank you.
But the same policies regarding attempting not to create zoning islands. I see where your question was going. I doubt you'll start seeing a checkerboard of
Right.
CN developing within established larger zoning districts. You may see a little nibbling at the edges, but I don't think it would open up the door to a whole collection of commercial uses going into established neighborhoods.
Yeah, and see, with this situation, it's slightly different too, because like you said, it wouldn't open up a door for all of those places to be changed, because I mean, just looking at the location of this, you have a very busy street. Okay, and then you have a business, you have a Circle K there. It's a successful business, bringing in a lot of cars. You have a coin laundry, bringing in a lot of cars, a lot of people, a lot of traffic. And really, it's not, really right now, as I see it, the neighborhood is in transition. It was deemed as commercial residential in times past. The Circle K was not there. The coin laundry was not there. So basically, as I'm seeing it, the neighborhood is in transition. People are not going to stop getting gas for their cars. There's been some times when I've even spun in there down that same street myself in my car, not even thinking about the children. And I know, like with myself, other people, hundreds of other people have done the same thing. But personally, I see it as a neighborhood in transition, busy highway. And then, with the salons, coming in there, I just see it as a neighborhood in transition, probably destined to be, commercial from the way that I see it. Because people, they're not going to stop getting gas. They're not going to stop washing their clothes. They're going to keep rolling their cars in there. That's just my thoughts on it.
Do you have a question?
Well, no, I don't. I was just giving my statement upon that.
Okay, we'll get to discussion in a minute.
Okay.
Any other questions for applicant, city, or public commenters? All right, hearing and seeing none. Ms. Chadwick, at this time, as agent for applicant, would you like to give final arguments in this matter?
Well, sure, I'll try to come up with something for that.
It's your right.
I do believe that this is in transition, and I believe that in the future it will all be commercial. I mean, look at everything along 90, commercial, all commercial, beautiful houses, now lawyers' offices. But I mean, right now there is a business that's open there. I don't know if the city's ever gotten any complaints about it. I mean, I would imagine not. And he's going for the lowest level of commercial zoning, which is commercial neighborhood, which is very restrictive. I mean, he's right up against commercial intensive. He technically could have tried to get it rezoned to that or RO. I'm not sure what uses are in those, but I imagine his use would be in that also. So he chose the least intrusive commercial zoning to try to open up more suites for the professionals in this town to own their own business. And he's cleaned it up, because I, too, have driven behind the coin laundromat down Laurel Lane and McFarland on my way home from getting a late night hot dog at Circle K. So I believe it would be beneficial for the city to approve the zoning change.
All right, very nice, thank you. Mr. Thomas, does the city or representatives of city staff have any final arguments in this matter?
Just a little bit of clarity. We did suggest residential office to the applicant, but it doesn't satisfy his desire to turn the house into a salon. You couldn't do a salon in residential office. And that's why he went with commercial neighborhood, which is the lowest level of commercial zoning that would allow for what he's trying to accomplish. And just so everybody is clear, McFarland is a closed street. There is no through traffic there. So that's
all right, very nice. Mr. Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The decision of the board should be based on evidence provided by sworn witnesses. In addition, the board may make its recommendation to City Council after taking into consideration those matters listed in Section 15.2.2 of the city's land development regulations. At this time, the board may discuss the application, testimony, and any findings of fact upon which the board wishes to base a decision, and vote on the proposed resolution number Z2503 following an appropriate motion and second. At this point, I would suggest that the resolution as presented would, based on the testimony, require one amendment And that would be to remove the phrase in the seventh recital or whereas clause on, I believe, on the first page, that says the proposed change will not be contrary to the land use plan and would not have an adverse effect on the comprehensive plan. If you're going to adopt the resolution, I would suggest adopting it with the omission of that phrase, simply because it is not a true statement based on the testimony presented.
All right, give me a minute, just making some notes. All right, at this time, I'm going to open this up for discussion amongst members of the board. How does everyone feel about this one?
I agree that it's moving towards commercial as it should in that area probably. And I think the idea of either changing the wording in the LDR and comp plan is a good idea, or going in as a group and doing it as one big section, changing it. But as it stands now, it's against the LDR and the comp plan, correct? So
Correct. It would run
For that
adverse. That's
reason-
why if
Right,
we make
we'd
a
have to
motion to
remove
approve, it would have to be an amendment where we pull out the whereas.
So for that reason, I think as of right now, it should be a no because it's against the plan and the LDR. But like I said, those two suggestions are good and shouldn't take too long to get done, either changing the wording or coming together and doing it as a one zoning. What do you think?
I have one item of discussion. I don't know if this will be for Mr. Martin or for Mr. Angelo. Due to the conflict we have with the LDR and the fact that we are, discussing the idea of amending the LDR to allow neighborhood streets for a commercial neighborhood zoning designation, should the board elect to table this issue, the proponents and the applicants would not have to reapply. They would not have to resubmit application fees or any additional documents. In essence, for the 3 to 4 months it would take to get this through the necessary readings, it would just pause everything in place, correct? So we wouldn't have to necessarily vote to disapprove. We could table this pending a amendment to the LDRs?
That would be correct. If the board was entertaining that option, I would suggest that we would want to get the applicant on the record stating that he would be waiving any time limitations upon which the board should act to allow that to take place, because otherwise the board does have, and I can't recite them chapter and verse right this second, but there are certain time limits within which the board and then the council has to act on land use applications. And so if the applicant was willing to waive that to allow this board and the council to consider bringing the land development regulations and comp plan into synchrony with the application that is pending, then I would certainly say that's an option you could consider.
Okay. At this point, would it be appropriate to ask of the proponent that question?
Certainly.
Mr. Slay, would you please come back down here for a moment? All right, so to put this in as lay language as possible, we understand there's issues with the LDRs. That's what's holding this up. If we could try to pursue a change to the text of that LDR, allowing neighborhood streets such as Laurel to be zoned CN, would you be willing to waive the rights that Mr. Martin had indicated on the time limit so that we can get those text amendments in place while your current application is tabled, and then have you come back without having to submit a new application, without having to submit a new application fee, and then briefly rehear this and see if we can get a straight up or down vote once this is in conformance with the LDRs, should the city council adopt the LDR's text amendment we would propose.
Yes, I would like to work with you.
Very nice. Is that sufficient for your needs, Mr. Martin?
I think so, yes.
Very nice.
And Mr. Angelo, if you could reflect that in the record, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion amongst members of the board?
I have a question about that. Say the LDRs aren't changed or it's not approved. How would we proceed then?
Mr. Chair. So
would-
procedurally, once that decision was made, and in your hypothetical was the change for the text amendment was not approved, then this would be removed from the floor, from the table, come back to the floor before the board. The hearing would be finalized. I can't predict what action this board would take,
Sure.
but it would come back for final consideration.
Okay, thank you.
And I also wanted to point out that, as we advised the applicant, the Planning and Zoning Board is an advisory board, and so even if the advisory board recommended denial, they still are within their rights to proceed to the council for their final decision.
Correct, and so we do now have that in writing. Appeals are going to the council, not coming to Board of Adjustment. We don't hear our own appeals anymore.
This
Well,
would not,
the
go ahead.
rezoning is a little different. It's not an appeal because for the rezoning, the Planning and Zoning Board is advisory only
Okay.
to the city council. You're just recommending the city council to vote a certain way. City council can still vote the way they feel is right. So it's not an appeal. That's the normal process.
Okay. Any other discussion amongst members of the board? As far as my ideas on this, I'm strongly of the opinion that if we can table this pending a text amendment to the land development regulations, this is obviously part of a long-term project. This is just one puzzle piece in that. We're gonna see this issue come up time and time again in areas around the edges where neighborhoods in the past have partially undergone changes, maybe not necessarily on collector or arterial roads. And if neighborhood roads are not included in a commercial neighborhood zoning designation, honestly, what's the purpose of a CN? Obviously, the board's willing to cast their votes however they want, but I think tabling this protects the applicant's rights to the best degree to see if we can get the city council to weigh in on this.
I'm not inclined to agree with the text amendment. I would be more inclined to change the whole street as a whole. It's just my opinion.
I'm in
Especially
agreement.
since
That's
it-
where it's headed.
It is headed that way, I agree, but I think to do it as a whole rather than piecemeal, or change the text amendment, I think it's a better idea. It is technically a closed street, even though there might be access from either the laundry or the Circle K. Technically, it is still a closed street. I would be more inclined to see the whole thing changed as a whole.
And it sounds like, based on Mr. Sampson's testimony, that's the direction it's going in.
It probably will be, yes.
All right. At this time, based on what Mr. Martin has said and what we've discussed here, first of all, let me canvass one more time. Is there any further discussion amongst members of the board on this issue? All right, seeing and hearing none. At this time, do we have a motion to either adopt with amendments, deny, or table until further action on a text amendment of the LDRs? Do we have a motion for any one of those four as it relates to Resolution Z25-03 as read by title?
Motion to deny Z25-03 based on the, what I said before, that I would rather see it as a whole.
All right, we have a motion to deny. Is there a second? It's going to be one of those days, y'all. I ask again, we have a
Move
motion
to
on the
table.
floor. Do we have a second?
Second, motion to table, second that.
Wait,
Yeah,
hold-
I move to table.
I'm second.
Okay, hold on. We
Okay,
need
sorry.
to let a motion die for lack of a second
Oh,
first
okay, I didn't
before we
know
can come
if
around.
it was, I thought it died.
I ask for a third and final time. Do we have a second to deny Resolution Z25-03 as read by title? Hearing none, motion to deny fails for lack of a second. Do we have a motion to either approve with amendments, disapprove, or table until further LDR action? Resolution number Z25-03 as read by title.
Move the table until we get some LDR input from the city council.
Second.
Motion to table pending LDR action with a second. This time, Mr. Angelo, will you call the yeas and the nays?
Yes. Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
No.
Mr. Calucci,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidick.
Yes. By non-unanimous vote, we will table petition Z25-03 until such time as appropriate action can be taken in reference to text amendment to the Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City. All right, having passed through all of our new business, are there any workshop items to come before the Planning and Zoning Board, possibly of a relocation nature? Mr. Thomas?
I'm sorry.
Any announcements you'd like to make in workshop?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, I will announce that this will be my last Planning and Zoning Board meeting with the City of Lake City. I've been presented with a really wonderful opportunity for the City of Alachua, so I'll be starting in the beginning of June with the City of Alachua as the Planning and Community Development Director there.
Congratulations. Hate to lose you. but
Just broke you
congratulations.
in. Now we're gonna have to break another one in.
Oh, Robert.
All right, do we have anything else? Mr. Angelo, you got anything for workshop?
I do not.
All right, Mr. Martin, anything we need to work on?
Nothing on the city attorney's side.
Very nice. At this time, do we have a motion to adjourn the Planning and Zoning Board portion of tonight's series of meetings?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Oh, it was coming from everywhere. Mr. Angelo, I'll let you figure that one out. All right, by hand sign, all in favor? Hands down, like sign opposed. Planning and zoning is adjourned.
And Mr. Chair, I would request just a short break between meetings before we convene the next hearing.
Very
please.
nice.
Thank you.
Please cut the audio and the video. We will take a short 5 to 10 minute break. Please return. This time I call to order the Board of Adjustment, City of Lake City, 13th May 2025. Roll call shall remain the same. Electronic meeting minutes were submitted via the city email server to all members of the board. I was not present at the April 15th meeting. I do not have anything to add, but at this time, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes as submitted that need to be noted? Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion for their adoption?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Ms. McCellum, Ms. Douglas, by hand sign? Hands down, likewise opposed. Very nice. We have meeting minutes passed. There being no old business to come before this board, we move into new business. Tonight, we have one matter before us which must be considered and voted upon by the Board of Adjustment in a quasi-judicial manner. That item is petition SE 25-01, being an application by James Field as owner to request a special exception be granted as provided for in section 4.5.5.13 of the Land Development Regulations, City of Lake City, and to permit standard design manufactured home as defined by these land development regulations within a residential single-family 3 zoning district in accordance with a site plan and a petition dated 4th of March 2025 on property located upon parcel 06473-1. This time I'm going to ask the city attorney to run through the procedures to be used within these hearings and to inquire amongst the members of the Board of Adjustment regarding any ex parte communications which have or may have occurred. Mr. Martin, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The purpose of the procedures is to ensure that the applicant provides a clear and complete presentation of their request to the board prior to any testimony being provided by staff, to ensure the applicant receives a full and fair hearing on their application, and any decision by the Board of Adjustment is based on evidence presented. All testimony is taken under oath. Everyone's subject to cross-examination. All exhibits and documents shall be entered into evidence. Opinion testimony is limited to experts, and closing arguments is limited to evidence of record. To accomplish this, we'll hear from the city, the applicant, from any members of the public that wish to comment on the application, followed by any cross-examination by the parties of any of the presentations, and then we'll hear questions from the board to the presenters. And then when that is done, we will, I will instruct the board as to applicable law and factual findings that must be made, and then the board can deliberate and vote. All persons have the right through the chair to ask questions of parties presenting. Florida law requires the board's decisions in quasi-judicial actions be supported by competent and substantial evidence presented to the Board of Adjustment during the hearing on the application. Competent and substantial evidence is evidence a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion. This time I need to inquire of each member of the board individually if they have received any ex parte communications regarding this particular matter, and if so, to disclose them. Beginning at the end of the dais, Mr. Carlucci, have you had any ex parte communications?
No.
Okay, and Ms. Douglas?
No.
And Ms. Wilson?
No.
Ms. McCellum?
No.
And Chair Leidig?
None other than with city staff in order to prepare this month's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Board members, you now have before you proposed resolution BASE 2501, a resolution of the Board of Adjustment of the City of Lake City, Florida, granting with appropriate conditions and safeguards a special exception as authorized by the City of Lake City Land Development Regulations, providing for a special exception to the permitted uses within a residential single-family 3 or RSF 3 zoning district as provided with section 4.5.5 of the Land Development Regulations to permit a standard design manufactured home on certain lands within the corporate limits of the City of Lake City, Florida, providing for revocation of the special exception, repealing all resolutions in conflict, and providing an effective date. If each person who is going to offer testimony or speak to this application could stand and raise your right hand to take an oath. Do each of you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, thank you. At this time, Mr. Chair, the floor is yours.
All right, very nice. Mr. Thomas, do you need a minute? Mr.
Thank you.
Thomas, on behalf of the city, please provide a introduction and summary overview of application SE 25-01.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Staff doesn't have a PowerPoint presentation on this, but as stated, it is a request for a special exception by Mr. Fields, James Fields, as the owner, to get a special exception to allow for what's called a basically a standard design manufactured home. Standard design in this instance would be kind of your stereotypical single wide mobile home. And that's what the standard design refers to. It is allowable under by special exception under single family residential 3 zoning district, which this parcel is in, and therefore staff would recommend approval of the petition in this instance for the special exception granting the single wide the placement of a single wide manufactured home. We'll state you might remember that the city recently did pass a moratorium on this type of application. However, this application was in before the moratorium went into place, and therefore it qualifies for consideration. And that is staff's presentation. Like read into the record, please.
Very nice. All right, at this time, will the applicant please approach the podium and provide case material and evidentiary material as related to application SE 25-01?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Name and legal address of record for Mr. Angelo?
Okay, my name is Fannie Fields, my husband James Fields. We live at 323 Southwest Royal Court, Lake City, 32024.
All right.
Okay, well, he covered it so well, but anyway, we had this property at this parcel that we wanted to use for independent living program for young adults that's turning 18 that's within the system. And we just need a place, they're in need of places to live. So we wanted to use this lot to sit a mobile home so that some of our youth will be able to live there.
All right. Anything else you would like to add into the evidentiary record as part of your case?
No.
If you're going to speak, we'll need your information and legal address of record as well.
Oh, James H. Fields, 323 Southwest Royal Court, Lake City, 32024.
Very nice. Go ahead.
Oh, no, nothing more than what she had said about to use the single wide mobile home for a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. It's for independent living. That's the sole purpose of it. And I let her spoke because she knows more about it than I do.
Understood.
If that was okay, but you know.
Everyone gets a chance to speak at these meetings. All right. If that's all you have, will you also please request that your application be moved into the official record of this procedure?
Okay.
No, ask that.
Oh, repeat it?
Can you ask that your application be moved into the official record?
Can our application be removed into official records?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very nice. You may be seated. All right. Mr. Thomas, do you have any additional case material or evidentiary material you would like to present as it relates to this application?
Just one last comment, Mr. Chair. Staff did go out and do a field examination, and there are other single-wide manufactured homes in the area. It would not be a one-off.
Very nice. Anything else? All right. Do we have any parties intervener that wish to present their own case or evidentiary material in this matter? None. Do we have any individual members of the public that would like to offer public comment on either of the presentations from the applicant or from the city? All right.
Christopher Sampson, 495 Southwest Lakeview. I have a comment on this. I know we're asking for LDR upgrades. I think it would make sense for RSF3 to remove the special exception for mobile home and just make it legal. So instead of them having to come here, we could just do it. I know we've had struggles with this. I had an RSF3 myself. We had an issue with getting a mobile home on it. It shouldn't be an issue. Mobile homes, anything built after 1976, a manufactured home, meets HUD guidelines, and it should be allowed. I know the city council in their error made a moratorium on mobile homes and manufactured homes. Hopefully they'll come to their senses and reverse that. But I would like to see if the LDR could be updated, since RSF3 already allows it. Why are we making people go through a special step to come here when it's already legal? It makes no sense. It would just seem like it would be easier to streamline government, maybe even reduce some of our government spending and overhead. Instead of having to get that fee, they could take some of this fee money and put it toward improvements on the property. That's my comment.
Very nice, thank you. Are there any other members of the public that would like to offer public comment on the application as presented? All right, there being none, do we have any representatives of groups larger than 6? Very nice. Do we have anyone, either applicant or city, that wishes to provide cross-examination in this matter? Seeing and hearing none. Questions from the Planning and Zoning Board for the parties? I only have one. Mr. Thomas, judging by the size and the configuration of this particular parcel, am I correct in assuming that a double-wide residential model mobile home would not have met the necessary setbacks in order to be placed on this property, and a standard single-wide mobile home is the only real use for this parcel?
Actually, Mr. Chair, that didn't really come up. It is a very narrow lot, so the likelihood is that it would be very difficult to find a double wide that would be small enough that it would comply with the setbacks. And so that's probably had a lot to do with the choice of a single wide, because it actually would fit and comply with the setbacks without any difficulty, whereas a double wide would be problematic.
Yeah, because we're looking at, as far as its GIS acres on the image on our screen here, I mean, that's only 0.14 acres. I don't think that would meet the setbacks for a residential model. Right. That was really the only question I had, was just clarification on that matter. Yeah. Any other questions from members of the board for either the applicants or representative of city?
Yes. Mr. Thomas, correct me if I'm wrong, but in looking at the surrounding homes, they're all site-built homes?
There's
on that street?
Mr. Chair, there is a mix. Directly adjacent to it, I believe, are site-built only, but within a block, there are a number of other standard design mobile homes in the area.
Okay.
So, and that's usually the origin of a code like we have, is that you want it by special exception, so that on a case-by-case basis, the board can make a decision and say, well, there's really no others in the area, and you might not want to allow one out of all the other site-built homes around it. Or you, in this case, like, you have an area that's got multiple other units already in the area, and so it wouldn't alter the character of the surrounding area.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from members of the Planning and Zoning Board for either the city or the applicant? Hearing and seeing none, do the applicant or the city wish to make any final arguments in this matter? Hearing and seeing no desire, at this point, Mr. Martin, take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The decision of the board should be based only on evidence presented by sworn witnesses. In addition, the board may make its decision after taking into consideration those matters listed in section 11.2.1, paragraph 3 of the city's land development regulations. That's the provision that has the criteria for granting a special exception. At this time, the Board of Adjustment may discuss the application, testimony, and any findings of fact upon which the board wishes to base a decision, and vote on the proposed resolution following an appropriate motion and second to approve the resolution as read by title only.
Very nice, and that resolution by title only would be SE 25-01, correct?
Correct, yes.
All right, Let me put a note in here. All right, at this time, members of the Board of Adjustment, is there any internal discussions anyone wishes to have or any comments they would like to put on the record in regards to this matter prior to a call for a vote?
I can say, due to my experience delivering mail in the area, there's definitely quite a few mobile homes already there. So it's not like it would be an aberration. So I think it's appropriate.
Okay. Anything
I
else?
don't see any
from anyone?
problem with it myself. I'm in agreement with you.
I think my normal inclination, being immediately surrounded by site-built homes, would be to say no, but since it is very, very mixed, then I think it's fine.
All right, any other discussion amongst members of the board? All right, there being none, at this time, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove Resolution 25, or SE 25-01 as read by title?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. McCollum, Ms. Wilson. At this time, Mr. Angelo, will you call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCollum,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Douglas,
Yes.
Mr. Colucci,
Yes.
and Mr. Leidick.
Yay. All right, by unanimous vote, 25-01 is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you.
At this time, there being no additional new business to come before the Board of Adjustment, we move into our workshop agenda, starting on my right and moving down. Mr. Thomas, do you have anything?
No, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Angelo? Mr. Martin?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right, no workshop items to attend to. At this time, do we have a motion to adjourn Board of Adjustment, our second of 3 boards we will convene as this evening?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Carlucci and Douglas on the second by hand sign. All in favor? Hands down, likewise opposed. Board of Adjustment stands adjourned.
Thank you.
Bye and good luck.
Bye-bye. Thanks.
At this time, I call to order the Historic Preservation Agency, City of Lake City. The date remains May 13th, 2025. Roll call shall remain the same. Minutes of our previous session, 15th of April, 2025, were distributed electronically to all parties via the city's email server. I was not present for that meeting and can add or detract nothing from it, but at this time, those that were in attendance, are there any additions, corrections, or deletions to the minutes as submitted electronically? Hearing and seeing none, do we have a motion for their adoption?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Ms. McCallum and Ms. Wilson on the second, by hand sign for approval of minutes. Approved? Hands down? Disapprove? All right. We have meeting minutes passed. There being no old business to come before this board, we move to new business. First item of new business will be COA 25-08, an application submitted by Rodney Brown for a certificate of appropriateness for a remodel on the exterior of a home properly located upon parcel 13828-0, colloquially located at 412 South Marion Ave. So at this time, let me flip back through for a second.
You don't have that in the documents.
I know, I'm using one of your other
Okay,
templates.
all right.
All right, Mr. Angelo, please give a brief introduction, or should you decide to do so, give your introduction as well as your case and evidentiary material, please.
All right, so this is COA 25-08. It is for 412 South Marion, which was applied for by Rodney Brown. He is looking to do quite a bit of exterior work to this building with a new roof, cutting back a little bit on the eaves, just a little bit to get rid of some of the rot of it. There's also, if you look in the pictures, there's a section of the roof that is starting to sag some. So he's wanting to brace that. And if you look, he presented in there a picture of the scrolling that's on some of the work. He's going to duplicate that scrolling on those braces to kind of keep consistent with that. Some of the other upgrades that he wants to do to the building is repairing some of the siding that is on there, And then at the base of the home, the siding, if you look in one of the pictures in there, it kind of flares out and goes out. That siding is pretty much just rotted away, and the water runs down. That building hits that and then kind of stays there. He said whenever he was going through it, there was, he was finding, chicken eggs, all kinds of stuff behind that siding, and just a lot of, activity with insects and rodents and stuff like that. So his request is to remove that siding and bring it up to where a lot of the other homes in the area, right at the base of the home, and stop the siding there and leave the underpinning open like in some of the other homes. And then he would provide rodent control from there. And I do have a document that he dropped off this morning to our office that he wanted to present at the meeting. He is not here. I don't know where the applicant was, but he stopped by the office and asked this to be added and said he would be here. But if you would like, Mr. Chair, approach and give those to the board.
Please do.
And I would like to introduce this as Exhibit A. So what this picture is some of the bricking that you will see up under the edge of the home. As he removed the siding from the home, he noticed these decorative blocks. They're not just a standard block. So his thought is that flared look for the siding that was on there was an added feature later on, covering up these the decorative block. And so he wants to, that's one of the reasons why he would like to go ahead and leave that part of the siding off and, expose those bricks to bring out the decorative look. And that's all I have.
Very nice. Generally speaking, what's the ruling regarding public hearings in which case the applicant is absent and not able to speak for themselves? I know we've had this happen a couple of times. Is there anything in the law that would prevent us from being able to take this up and potentially approving it in absentia?
No, they received adequate notice of the meeting, is my understanding, and you actually had face-to-face conversation with them where they acknowledged they knew it was tonight?
Yes.
Oh, okay. They had adequate notice. There would be nothing to prohibit the board from proceeding tonight.
Okay, so we can take action on this.
You can take action, yes.
All right. Do we have any parties intervener or members of the public that would like to speak either for or against anything that was present in the city's evidentiary material? All right. No ability to do any cross-examination. Questions from Planning and Zoning Board. I just have one.
I got some too.
Mr. Angelo, I believe you're spot on with the assessment that these would have been originally exterior-facing blocks. There's a number of blocks of this pattern. I know my carriage house has some of them. They were also used in the construction, I believe, of our local Elks Lodge. Some of these were actually locally made, I think, over... I think some of those were actually made over on the east side of town. There was actually a block factory over there pumping these things out. You see these on a lot of structures here in town. But no, your assessment was spot on that original flaring would not have been on the structure. I think somewhere in Morris Williams's records, we also have photographs of that house showing it without the flaring. Any other questions or comments from the HPA to...
I got a question. So this issue with I'm reading through all the paperwork he submitted. Issue number 4 is asking if it's okay for him to remove the last 4 rows of siding, but according to these pictures, and I stopped by there today actually, he's already done it. So it's too late to ask if he can do it if it's already done, as evidenced by the pictures too. Right?
So he's already begun and done this?
Yes. I drove by today, all the siding. In fact, it's not only just the last 4 rows, but it's a couple extra rows so you can see the bottom joist of the house. It looks terrible. So, yeah, he's already started. As far as the other things, I looked, the sagging of the roof is true, because it's got those big 2x4 eaves. So the bracing of that is a good idea. I didn't have a problem with anything else, except for him starting to work already.
All right. There being no way for us to have, well, I'll give the city the chance. Mr. Angelo, you got a final argument?
No, sir. Just in answer to Mr. Clucci's response about the pulling up the siding a little bit. That's how he exposed those bricks. So he did come in this morning and tell us that he did remove some of that and expose some of the rot. And but his original intent for us was that he was going to remove it, replace the rot, and then replace down to whatever the board approved. And that we didn't give him the go-ahead on any of that. The only thing that we advised him that he could go ahead and start on was the actual roof itself, and to go ahead and protect the building and to go to the standard galvalume roof, which has been prevalent throughout the neighborhood. And other than that, that's all I have. And I would like to introduce my application into the record.
Very nice.
So, question, you gave him permission to take some of it off to look at the stones and what's going on underneath, or you told him it was okay to take some off because it's all gone?
We didn't give him any permission to take any of it off. The
Okay.
only thing we gave him permission on was the actual roof itself.
Okay.
Was putting a metal roof on.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I would suggest to the board that to the extent he started any work prior to receiving the approval of the board would be a code enforcement matter that code enforcement could take up with the property owner. That would not be an impediment to, any approval or disapproval the board may give tonight.
And that's a totally different board. That's not us.
Correct.
All right. That being the final argument, at this point, discussion amongst members of the board. It's one of the better packages we've seen. The original flaring wouldn't have been there. These are iconic local blocks of this style that we see in a number of our locally engineered and built historic structures. As a historic preservation specialist, I'm keen on this project.
I'm inclined to agree. I'm not keen on the fact that he started without permission, but
Hey,
that's not our
That's up to
issue.
code enforcement. Write them a $75 citation or
Yep,
something, but that ain't
that's
us.
not us, apparently. So, yeah, I mean, the house clearly needs work.
Agreed.
And don't start building without your permits.
That's what I'm talking about.
There were permits there. I saw the permits hanging, so he's got permits at least.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing and seeing none. At this time, do we have a motion to either approve or disapprove application COA 25-08 as presented by city, but with applicant in absentia?
Motion to approve COA 25-08.
Second.
Douglas, Carlucci with the second. Mr. Angelo, please call the yeas and the nays.
Ms. McCullum?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Calucci?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidick?
Yay. All right, we have a COA. Next item of business, COA 25-09, application submitted by O'Neill Contracting, Inc., acting as agent for the Foundation of Florida Gateway College for certificate of appropriateness for approval of repair and paint the exterior of property located upon parcel 13194-0, more colloquially located at 443 East Duval Street. All right, Mr. Angelo, please provide us with an overview.
All right, so this is, I would like to add, never got sworn in on this one or the other application.
Do you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right.
All right, so this is COA 25-09. It is 443 East Duval. More commonly known, the Foundation for the Florida Gateway College. You look in the scope of work, they're looking to do exterior waterproofing for the building along with painting. And they're looking to paint it more of a gray color. They did propose painting the brick and along with the doors net. The applicant is not present for this one either, and I know I did speak to Ms. Karen from O'Neill Contracting about 2 weeks ago when we prepared the certified letters to go out to all the landowners. And, but I did not have a discussion with her since then about the meeting date.
Okay, do you have anything else you'd like to read in? Do you want to go ahead and, since there is no applicant present, do you want to present your case as well as your introductory statements?
I have no further comments on it.
Okay. And?
I would like to introduce my packet to the end of the record.
Very nice. All right, having no applicant present, and no further material from city, no parties intervener. At this point, are there any members of the public that would like to speak on application COA 25-09? All right, hearing and seeing none. At this time, Mr. Angelo, do you wish to cross-examine yourself?
I do not.
Very nice. Questions from the Planning and Zoning Board? Mr. Angelo, did you inform the applicants that the painting of brick in this manner in the historic district would be inconsistent with the Secretary of the Interior standards for the rehabilitation of historic structures and neighborhoods?
I did not inform them of that, but I did inform them that, this is something that the board would have to discuss with them, and that's not, a traditional thing that we would see throughout the district. I did put some packets or some photos in the packet that you will see from other buildings in the area where the brick has been painted, and but it's both ways. You've got a lot of buildings where they have not been, and you've got some buildings where they have been.
What's interesting is the photograph that is on page 26 of our packets. I don't think anyone was on the board here back then. That structure actually they started painting that one without a COA, and it was about 75% done before we discovered it, so there was nothing we could do about that one. Right. The one on page 25, that structure was whitewashed at time of construction back in 1907.
That's block, not brick, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
On
And it was
25, it's
block,
block,
not
not
brick.
brick.
Right.
Yeah. I personally think it's a terrible idea to paint. Terrible idea to paint the red brick gray. I think.
I know we're in the questions from
sorry.
the board, but we can move into discussion at this point. Mr. Angelo, do you have any final arguments?
I do not.
Okay, there being no other parties present, at this point, let's move into discussion amongst members of the board, and if necessary, we can inquire of Mr. Angelo of specific details. I'm also kind of surprised that this is even sitting in front of us, considering that very specifically in the Secretary of the Interior's standards for the treatment of historic properties, it recommends against, in no uncertain terms, the painting of brick. There are a number of non-pigmented, if they're worried about waterproofing of the brick, there are some non-pigmented treatments that would work just fine and retain the original character of the brick. But without the applicant being present here to even give a policy or to give a presentation, I would be inclined to table this until such time as the applicant chooses to make their presence known in front of this board. I mean, I know we had greenlit something earlier with the applicant in absentia, but that did not have nearly the number of red flags that go directly counter to the Secretary of the Interior standards, is what I'm seeing in
Well,
this
I
package.
mean, they were duly informed and didn't show up, and I would be more inclined to just decline it than table it.
Agreed. I don't like the painting of the brick, and they are not present.
Yeah.
I'm inclined
They can't
to-
defend their actions or why they want to paint it gray. Yeah.
Yeah.
Any discussion from this side of the table?
Nope. I agree with.
Anything else anyone wants to put on the record before we move forward? All right, there being no further discussion amongst members of this board, at this time, do we have a motion to either approve, disapprove, or table application COA 25-09, with applicant in absentia.
Motion to table. Give them a chance to get here.
We have a motion to table. Do we have a second for a motion to table? Calling twice. We have a motion to table. Do we have a second for a motion to table? Calling three times. We have a motion to table. Do we have a second on a motion to table? Motion to table dies for lack of a second. Do we have a new motion upon the floor to either approve, disapprove, or table application COA 25-09?
Motion to disapprove COA 25-09.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to disapprove COA 25-09. Mr. Angelo, will you please call the yeas and the nays?
Ms. McCullum?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
No.
Ms. Douglas?
Yes.
Mr. Carlucci?
Yes.
And Mr. Leidick?
Yes. By non-unanimous vote, COA 25-09 has been denied by the Historic Preservation Agency. There being no additional new business to come before this board, at this time we'll move into the workshop phase of this evening. Moving from my right to my left, Mr. Thomas, do you have anything?
No, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Angelo, do you have anything?
No, sir.
Mr. Martin, do you have anything?
No, Mr. Chair.
All right. We have,
Mr. Chair. Sorry, I have a question.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So I just have a question as to, I understand that certain things could be code enforcement issues rather than historic preservation. But how do those things happen? For example, I'm going to give you an example. The green two-story house that's on Marion Street just down from the bus station. They recently put up what looks to be a construction fence of some kind, but clearly there's nothing on our agenda. They've had tarps on the roof for I don't even know how long, and now they have this construction fence. So if someone were to object, or if how does something happen about that? The fact that they didn't get approval to do anything on that house.
And I know the one you're talking about. Yeah, it's a homemade, what appears to be 4x4s
Yeah,
and
that's the one.
solar shades
Yeah.
that have been made to completely wall in the property from public view. Do we have any building permits outstanding or any COA applications outstanding for that structure at the intersection of Knox and South Marion?
So we do not have any permits or any COAs for this site, and code enforcement is aware of the property and has discussed this with them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and have they indicated it is merely a temporary construction fence to prevent it from being a nuisance during future construction, or did they think that was an appropriate fence for the property?
They, when myself and Mr. Thomason, the director of growth management, spoke with them, they informed us that they were inclined to keep it as a permanent, but adding more pickets to the outside to make it look like a dog-eared. And but there's other issues with the height of the fence
7-foot tall,
and
opaque screen
Yeah.
of fabric. You can't just add pickets to it.
yeah. So code enforcement is handling the matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that would be the normal chain of events, like if a resident asks us in the supermarket, hey, I see something going on in the historic district, the proper mechanism would be routed through code enforcement.
Correct.
Even though that's a separate wing of growth management from the HPA.
Yes, yeah, and then in this situation with the historic, they would partner with myself or Mr. Thomas and to discuss what the LDR calls, and then they would, cite if it was a violation of the LDR or the code of ordinances, then they would, issue a code enforcement violation, and first they would approach, discuss it with them, and then see where they need to go from there, and but that would be the proper way to handle it.
I remember when I put my fence up in the historic district, I had to get both a building permit and a COA.
That is correct.
Before I was allowed to fence on my property, and that was for replacement of like in kind.
Yes, and the permit does several things. One, it makes where we can see where the fence is going, because you have some other issues along with the height of the fence and everything with the corners, it violates the site triangles, and that, which is a safety concern.
Thank you. I don't mean to be a Karen. I just, live in the historic district. Don't want to see it junked up. I don't want my neighbor painting their house purple either. Just saying.
There's certain Victorian appropriate shades of purple.
I know there are. Thank you.
All right, anything else for the good of the order under workshop? All right, hearing and seeing none. At this time, do we have a motion to adjourn Historic Preservation Agency, May 13th?
Motion to adjourn.
Ms. McCellum?
Second.
Ms. Douglas on the second. By hand sign, all in favor? Hands down, likewise opposed. 3 for 3. We are out of here. Please kill the audio and the video.